there is a revenue sharing in our existing CBA that is expiring after this season, so we already have our revenue sharing, but we were in a very different place in 2020 than we are in 2025. So I think you'll see the revenue sharing be a much more lucrative one as we go forward, because we're in a better place, quite frankly. So I think, again, that's why I'm so optimistic that we're going to do something transformational here, because we want the same things as the players want.
I don't give the diva of Dump Divas credit for much, but I was impressed with Kat Engelbert during this press conference before the All-Star Game. Kat must work out. She must have a phenomenal strength and conditioning trainer, especially when it comes to upper body strength, because it takes a lot of muscle to polish the turd as proficiently as Kat Engelbert just polished the turd. That was some good bullshit. Negotiations for a new CBA are going great. We want the same thing as the players. Our meeting was so good, we ended the meeting with our favorite song. I love you, you love me. Please stop asking for more money. These demands are ludicrous and the league will not submit. And our on-court product is the drizzling shits. According to Kat Engelbert, it is all rainbows and cucumbers right now in the WNBA dump. But looking at the actions of WNBA players, dump divers sent a clear message last night that they were mad, mad, mad. For starters, the effort, or the complete lack thereof, that was given in the All-Star Game last night, it was an absolute travesty. That was an embarrassment. It was disrespectful to the people who wasted their time and their money to witness this garbage in person. Normally, WNBA players, they will give decent effort during the All-Star Game. They at least pretend to take it seriously as they're pretending to play basketball. But I'm wondering if the lack of effort last night was a form of protest. I'm wondering if the lack of effort last night was their way of sending a message to Kat Engelbert. If that was the intent, the end result was huge, embarrassing failure. The only thing WNBA players accomplished last night was proving their critics right. The only thing they did was prove Uncle KC right when I say this league is full of whiners and complainers. When I say this dump of dumps is filled with entitled players, or when I say the product on the court is some of the worst basketball imaginable. This entire weekend was an embarrassment for the WNBA. A weekend that is supposedly all about the fans. A weekend that is supposedly about players in the league showing their appreciation for the fan base. The weekend turned into a protest where WNBA players were once again demanding money they haven't earned. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about the record low ratings for the ESPY Awards. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Also, I received several emails yesterday from you guys about the WNBA. Uncle KC, can you please stop talking about this dump? Don't you get tired of talking about pretend basketball? Yeah. I get tired of talking about this turd. You think I enjoy spending Saturday night watching unknowns pretending to be stars? Like I told you guys many times before, I cannot stand this league. But I don't select topics for me. I don't choose topics that always pique my interest. I choose topics that interest you. You guys drive the content on the channel, and every advanced metric that I have tells me you want me talking about the WNBA. If you didn't want me talking about it, I promise you I wouldn't. Now, that does not mean that everything else is going to be abandoned. I'll still be talking about cable news like we always do. I'll still be talking about politics. I've got a Joy Reid topic that I've been sitting on for the past 3 days that we're going to be getting to later today. But to answer your questions, I'm not talking about the WNBA because I enjoy it. One of the reasons Steph Colbert was a failure is because he was creating a show that he wanted to watch instead of creating a show that his audience wanted to watch. I exposed myself to this leprosy of a league because it's content that you guys want to watch. And look, I have no problem with it. I have no problem doing it. Uncle KC is here to serve. Last night, unknown players from dumps across the country, they gathered together in Indianapolis to showcase why most people can't stand this league. An hour or so before the game, WNBA players, they were warming up. Players were taking shots, miniature balls were flying through the air, landing nowhere close to their intended target. WNBA players, they claimed they were missing shots during shoot-around because they were distracted by someone who calls herself Glorilla. Apparently, Glorilla was rehearsing a song called Wannabe, which was appropriate since the basketball court was filled with wannabe basketball players. During pregame warm-ups, especially at an event like the All-Star Game, players typically wear shirts that are provided by the league. Now, you got to remember, All-Star Games are corporate events. These weekends are supposed to be about fans and current and potential corporate sponsors. I'm sure most WNBA players don't know this, but corporate sponsors are a revenue stream. That's how you make money. You want to give a good impression to these people so they will invest in your league. Unfortunately, WNBA players once again gave the wrong impression. Check it out for yourself. Pay us what you owe us. Pay us what you owe us. Excuse me? You want to be paid what you're owed? Well, if that's what you want, that's what you'll get. You know what I would do if I were Kat Engelbert? I would give in to these demands. I would give WNBA players exactly what they asked for. Since you want to be paid what you're owed, I'll send you an invoice. Instead of the overly generous salary that you're currently receiving, you will be paying me for the privilege of playing pretend basketball. Based on last year's losses alone, which were around $50 million, every player in the WNBA, they would owe $347,000. The entitlement is unbelievable. This is what happens when you shield players from reality. This is what happens when you give handouts. This is what happens when you charter flights that you can't afford. This is what happens when you shield an entire league from financial pain with constant subsidies. The reason the WNBA hasn't grown, at least before Caitlin Clark, the reason this league has never been fiscally responsible, they've never had to be. The reason entitlement is so prevalent in this dump is because they have never been forced to earn their own money. Last night, Napheesa Collier, she was named the most valuable pretender at the All-Star Game. During her speech, some anonymous player decided to hijack the ceremony by displaying a sign. Now, she covered up her face with the sign to conceal her identity. Now, obviously, this was unnecessary since no one knew who in the hell she was anyway. But she hijacked the speech. She stole a moment that was supposed to belong to Napheesa Collier so she could protest for money she hasn't earned. Watch it for yourself.
MVP. Okay, Stewie, next up, we did not hear from you today. You got the winning team here, members of the executive committee. This is so inspirational. What does it mean? You guys have been in the league a long time. You actually all-time.
Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder why people hate this league? Some doofus is holding up a sign that says, "Pay the players, pay the players." You're already getting paid. You're already paid significantly more than you're worth. This dump has lost hundreds of millions of dollars, and you have the audacity to ask for more? Actually, ask isn't the right word. WNBA players, they are not asking for more money. They are demanding it. And if they don't get their way, they're going to quit. If you don't pay us what we're worth, we will no longer play pretend basketball. How about that? I don't think that's the flex that you think it is. This is not the NFL. This is not Major League Baseball where people would actually care if the season was canceled. If the 2026 WNBA season is canceled, this league will be forgotten, and it's looking more and more like a possibility. One of the many complaints from WNBA players during negotiations for a new CBA, they're whining about the WNBA wanting to bankrupt their competition. According to Gabby Williams, who is either a WNBA player or a recently located missing person, according to Gabby Williams, the WNBA hates Unrivaled. They want to push away all these other leagues. Yeah, no shit. Uncle KC was telling you this last year. Remember last year when the WNBA was pretending to support Unrivaled? We're not worried about Unrivaled. They're not our competition. We're happy that our players have another source of revenue. I told you guys that was bullshit. I told you there would come a time when Unrivaled would become a threat to the WNBA. Well, that time is now. You see, Unrivaled gives WNBA players leverage. Unrivaled gives them the ability to cancel the WNBA season and still make money. Before, if the WNBA season was canceled, players would have to go out and find another minimum wage job. Now, they have the option to play for Unrivaled, where just like the WNBA, they are significantly overpaid. But here's the problem for WNBA players. For starters, Kat Engelbert has to stand her ground. She cannot give into these unreasonable demands. The entitlement in this league is already out of control. If you don't believe me, just look at the embarrassment from last night. But here's the problem for WNBA players. If Unrivaled doesn't turn a profit in 2026, which it probably won't, then Unrivaled is going out of business, which would remove some, if not all, of the leverage that WNBA players have. To make matters worse, they're not negotiating with the WNBA. They are negotiating with the NBA. If the WNBA season is canceled, the NBA is saving tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. Threatening to cancel pretend basketball, that's not a threat. It's a blessing. I would imagine that some NBA owners have been wanting to cancel this turd for years. Put yourself in their situation. You have been subsidizing this league for decades. You have never seen a return on your investment. The only thing you've received is complaints and demands from entitled players who want more of your money. And outside of one player, they have no way of guaranteeing you get a return. If this were your money, would you give in to these demands, or would you stand your ground? You tell me. I think the WNBA is headed towards a lockout, and it could be extensive. I don't see either side budging, at least for a little while, but this is a huge risk for WNBA players. If Caitlin Clark doesn't play for Unrivaled and it fails, their leverage disappears. At that point, you have to come back begging the WNBA, and you'll probably end up with less than what they're offering you right now. Mark my words. July 20th, 2025. If this entitled behavior continues, if things keep going in this direction, this is not going to end well for WNBA players. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.